Watching movies with a dead chick and the gang, funny, strange, hysterical, or just plain bad. This weekend just got amazing. It's a watch-along weekend. Horror and sci-fi, comedy and more. We got it all this weekend. This weekend just got amazing. It's a watch-along weekend. Horror and sci-fi, comedy and more. We got it all this weekend.
Howdy, gang, and welcome to yet another watch along weekend. In a few minutes, we are going to be watching Madman, and I have a link in the chat there in case you don't own your own copy of Madman. You can watch it on Tubi. I do apologize, there are commercials on Tubi unless you have the commercial-free modified version of Tubi or hacked version of Tubi. I am going to be watching, this is the 4K, but I'm going to be watching the Blu-ray copy of it from Vinegar Syndrome, because I cannot watch the 4Ks back here where my computer's at, but I can watch Blu-rays. So I wanted to let you know where I'm queued up to, so that if you are watching on Tubi or you're watching it on another version, maybe you've got a Blu-ray or something that you're going to want to watch along with me on. But I am queued up 11 seconds in on my Blu-ray, and it's just started the music, and it's got that drawing of, it looks like trees or hands together, and it's got the red in the center, and it has not put any titles or anything up just yet. So if you come in later and you need a timestamp, I will be glad to give you one. All you got to do is ask. I know people have asked in the past. I also wanted to get a little housekeeping stuff out of the way before we actually get this movie started. And I want to remind you that tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, there's going to be another watch along for a great summertime movie, in my opinion, Dazed and Confused. We've still got a poll up for the next time I do watch alongs, and I haven't checked this in a while. It looks like for the next Saturday that I do one, Dawn of the Dead's blowing, the other two out of the water, but we do have Dawn of the Dead, and it is the original Dawn of the Dead. I had somebody ask me which version. It's George Romero's original Dawn of the Dead. For me, there is no other. There's no substitutes. But Basket Case is second, and Kingdom of the Spiders is running in third. So for the next Sunday, which is will be my brother's birthday, June 29th. It looks like National Lampoon's Vacation is got 50% of the votes. So it's in the lead. Fatal Attraction is second, and Play Misty for Me. So if um, you haven't got in on voting and you want to have some say so over what the next watch along will be. And guys and gals, I'm sorry if this is choppy. I think I'm going to have to. It's telling me now the connection is unstable. Now it's saying it's fairly good. This thing has been popping up quite a bit, and I don't know. I probably would have to ask other people that use StreamYard on a regular basis. Is that part of an update? Does it always show you your connection now? In the past, when that little connection thing has popped up, it usually means that your connection is less than pristine, I guess. So I think I'm probably going to have to, not tonight, but before I do another stream, preferably before I do my watch along tomorrow night, I think I'm going to have to restart uh, my router, modem, whatever you want to call it over here. I always get these things confused, but my AT&T thing for my AT&T fiber internet, and see if that goes away, because I don't like it popping up, because it leads me to believe that it could be buffering on y'all's side, or any number of things. It could be choppy, and with fiber internet and the amount of money that me and Steve are paying for this, I expect it to be better than that. So anyways, moving on from there, I hope that you guys and gals have taken notice of the deaditesondeck.com website address on the last few live streams and videos that I've done, because this is the address not for my YouTube channel, but for the Deadites on Deck horror shop. And I urge you to hop on over to deaditesondeck.com. Tell them Poe sent you. Poe is the official mascot of the Deadites on Deck horror shop. And I've got hats and t-shirts and tote bags and mouse pads and blended teas, hats, candles. And if you're not into horror, folks, or maybe you're into horror, but you didn't exactly see the design that you wanted, hey, I do custom work, folks. There is a handy dandy form on the homepage of the shop. All you got to do is fill that out, send that to me, and we'll see what we can do to make your dream a reality. So I just always want to put that custom work in there, because I know everybody's not a horror fan. They would rather me put them and their significant other, or their kids, their grandkids or pets or whatever, on hats and t-shirts and tote bags, instead of some horror movie thing. Hey Carlos, you say hello. I remember I seen Madman when it first came out. That's cool. Now, I'll tell a little story about Madman since you brought that up, Carlos. I had never heard of Madman. Now, I know some people heard about it when my friends over at Dead Pit Radio, CK and Uncle Bill, started talking about it. But I heard about it a little bit before I started listening to their radio show. And I think I was reading a movie review book, and I came across this movie review for a movie called Madman. I was like, this sounds like a slasher that's right up my alley. How did I ever miss this one? So I ended up going to a place called Waxworks in not in my hometown, but about 30 minutes away from my hometown in Owensboro, Kentucky, in Davis County. And that place is now closed, sadly, but it used to be the place to go for movies and records. And then when we went to CDs and cassettes, um, and then even cassettes have fallen by the wayside now. But uh, when DVDs started getting big, Waxworks, of course, got those. And so I had my dad take me there one day, and I went in there and I looked at the horror movies, and then I went up to the counter and I said, "Hey, y'all wouldn't by any chance have this movie Madman?" And I showed them, and I told them what year it came out and all that. And they said, "No, we don't have it." They punched it up on their computers, and they said, "No, we don't have it, but we can order it for you, and it'll be in a few weeks." This is back in the days where you had to wait a few weeks to get things. It wasn't as instantaneous as it is nowadays. And um, so they did. They ordered it for me, and then they let me know when it came in. They called me, and I don't think I paid for it before they ordered it, because I think what would happen if you didn't come and pick it up within 3 days or whatever, they'd put it in their stock and they would sell it, right? So I came and I got mine and I paid for it and took it home. And honestly, I have become a fan of this film since I watched it. Now, a lot of people may think that I became a fan of it because of Dead Pit. Now, when I heard Dead Pit talk about it, I was like, oh, yeah, and I'm not like putting them down or anything. I'm just saying that in my case, I heard about it a little bit before I started listening to their radio show. But I know there were a lot of other people that heard them talking about it, and it probably helped this movie become more popular, because these guys, a lot of people have listened to CK and Uncle Bill. A lot of people have listened to Dead Pit Radio over the past several years. And to hear somebody that you respect, somebody that talks about horror movies, really put a certain movie over, you're gonna say, well, hey, maybe I should check that out. But I'm just saying, in my case, I had discovered it already. But then when I heard them talk about it, I was like, well, that's really cool, that these guys are into this movie too. Now, with that being said, um, I have a fondness for The Burning over Madman. Now, I own both movies. I like watching both movies. I have both of them on 4K now. So I have nothing but fun things to say about Madman. It's just if, you know, please don't hold a gun to my head. But if somebody was holding a gun to my head and said, out of Burning and Madman, which one would you prefer? I would have to say The Burning. Okay. Um, and my good friend CK says, well, all The Burning's got going for it is the raft scene. Which you've seen The Burning, you know what the raft scene is, right? Um, but I beg to differ. Me and him are not always going to agree, as I'm not always going to 100% agree with everybody else. Everybody has their own, you know, likes and dislikes and preferences and all that. That's what makes the world go round. We just hopefully respect each other's, likes and dislikes and preferences and all that. But anyway, to get back to the housekeeping stuff. So tomorrow night, of course, we have the Dazed and Confused watch along starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Monday, I'm going to be starting a new series. I don't know if it's going to always be on Monday. I don't know if it's going to be regular or irregular, random. I'm thinking more along the lines as it's probably going to be random, because I have to do research on this particular thing. Because this is going to be called Horror Movie Rewind. And I'm going to go through several different horror movies throughout this series and highlight the goofs and mistakes in your favorite horror films. So the one I'm going to be doing Monday, we'll probably start around 8 p.m. Eastern time, will be for An American Werewolf in London. So if you always wanted to know about these goose and mistakes, you like going back and finding the mistakes in a film, I think you're really going to enjoy this series. Um, and maybe, people that weren't interested in it, um, then uh, maybe this will get you interested in it, or get you interested in movies that you would not have otherwise been interested in. Carla, she says, since I always look older than my age at 14, I remember going to see The Shining. Yeah, I mean, there are some people that, me on the other hand, I always look, until now, I always look, growing up, I looked younger than my age. So there, back in the video store rental days, I would go in there and try to get a rated R movie, and I would be of age, and they would say, "Honey, is your mom or your dad with you?" And rather than try to explain and all that stuff, I would say, "Yeah, they're out in the car," you know. And my mom sent me in to buy her a pack of or not a pack, a carton of cigarettes one time. And I know people are going to say, but yes, my mom was and still is a smoker. I wish she would quit for her health, but I'm not going to say bad things about my mother. I love my mother. Um, my dad smoked for years and years, and he quit finally. And, although I wish my mom could, she has not so far. But anyway, I was of age. And some people might say, well, your mom shouldn't have been sending you in to buy her cigarettes. Well, she didn't feel good that day. And she gave me the money. I went in there, and I was of age to buy some cigarettes. And they almost didn't want to give them to me. And this was in my hometown where everybody knows everybody else. And my mom, talking about movies, my mom, she was of age, but she said, here I was with a kid on my hip. She had me at the time, and they didn't want to let her into a movie theater to see a rated R movie back in the day, until she showed her ID. And she said, here I was with, my hip. They weren't going to let her in there. So, anyways, but Carlos, it sounds like you have the opposite thing going on there. So we're going to have some more Dick's Picks, some more cannon fodder, some more They're All Messed Up, hopefully coming out this week. So y'all stay tuned for all of that. I have a special Friday the 13th edition of Movie Munchies up, where I made Voorhees burgers and Jason fingers. So if you haven't checked that out, be sure to check it out. I have about 3 birthday unboxings, in case you want to see what kind of things I got with my birthday money this time around. I just turned 49, folks. I'm feeling, really, really old at this point. Oh, one more thing. As always, because this is a live stream, watch alongs count as live streams. Movie roulette is in full effect, and you can play. And how do you play movie roulette, you may ask? Well, you give a $5 or more super chat, and you can pick any movie of your choosing. It doesn't have to be horror. It can be comedy or sci-fi or drama. I'd prefer it not be porn, but I'm not telling you to tell me to watch a porn, but I can't really put limits on this, because I'm saying if you give a $5 or more super chat, you can pick any movie of your choosing. So that's in effect, because this is a live stream. And I guess that is all the housekeeping stuff. So again, if you're going to be watching along, and you can watch along on Tubi, you can watch Madman if you don't own your own copy. Again, I wish that I could stream these. However, if I do it through StreamYard and I put this on YouTube, YouTube's going to ding me, folks. So I always try to give you a link if I can to a way for you to watch if you don't own it on your own, to that way you can watch it on your own as I'm talking about it on here. A lot of people got confused in the past that, like, are we watching the movie? Well, yeah, technically we are watching the movie. It's just that I can't stream it live in this format. Also, well, let me tell you where I'm queued up to. I am queued up 11 seconds in on my Blu-ray. The title has not come up just yet, but it's showing those gnarled trees that look like hands, and then it's got the red in the center. And the music has just started. The Madman song has just started. But it hasn't really got into it. So I'll give everybody a minute or two to get queued up that's going to be watching along with me tonight. And then we'll go ahead and get started. Jallo Steve will be joining me today or tonight periodically because I can't get my actual husband Steve to join me. So his alter ego, Jallo Steve, will be joining me at some points and times throughout the film.
Are we watching this movie again?
Well, Steve, because Madman's what the people picked, and the people have spoken. So Jallo Steve will probably be popping in and out of here at certain points in times throughout this movie. Carla, she said the 80s were the golden era for horror movies. I agree. The Evil Dead, that is my all-time favorite horror movie. Prom Night, I love Prom Night. Deadly Blessing, Ghost Story, a horror movie with some Hollywood legends like Fred Astaire, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., John Houseman. You're exactly right, Carlos. All of those are very good examples, in my opinion, of great horror films from that golden era. I completely agree with you there. All right. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and do the countdown, the 3, 2, 1. And we're going to do 3, 2, 1 and press play if you're watching along tonight. And hopefully we'll have a few more people come in here as the night goes along. But here we go. Let's go ahead and do the countdown and get this party started. So 3, 2, 1, press play. And we're on The Legend Lives Company Presents. A Gary Sales and Joe Gioni production. Now we get the title, that lovely title, Madman. Hey, men-elect. And as many of you know, Alexis Dubin is none other than Galen Ross. I'm not sure why I don't know if she just wasn't proud of this movie or what. She didn't want to be known by her real name, and so she used a fake name of Alexis Dubin. And this movie is just under the hour and 30-minute mark, by the way. It's an hour and 28 minutes and 37 seconds, to be exact. And as always, I like to remind people that if you're interested in ever coming in here live with me on these watch-alongs, I used to have a lot of people that wanted to come in live, not so much anymore, but I'm still open to it. And I wish that I could have people on here again. I know that a lot of people are busy doing their own streams and stuff nowadays, and it it gets more and more difficult to find people to be on here with you as you do any kind of live stream, not just watch alongs. I used to have a lot of fun with having friends and stuff on here. Um, it I don't know if it's me or what, but I just don't seem to have a lot of people that want to come on here. But I am welcome and open to having people on here with me. So like I say, the only prerequisite I have is that you behave yourself on here. You don't get on camera and start taking your clothes off, or showing certain body parts that you shouldn't be showing, and you know, and you don't aren't mean to other people that are either in the chat or that are also live on camera with me. That'd be the only way that I would boot people, um, is if that kind of stuff was going on. Just be respectful and don't be explicit. You know, we do curse around here a little bit, so that's why I always mark these things as not for kids, um, because we are usually adults in here, and we will use some not extremely vulgar, but there's a little bit of cursing going on from time to time. And I lost a few people when I said that, unfortunately. But we're getting the opening scenes of um, where these kids are at this camp, um, for gifted children, they say. And, the only thing I can think of is that they're like creative, or they're really super smart, or whatever. Because when I think of gifted children, I think of back home, gifted and talented in school, where these super creative, super smart kids got to do, different things at least once a week, than just their regular classes, right? Uh, but these kids at this camp are being told a story by the head of the camp about Madman Mars. So this is what we're seeing in these opening scenes of the film. And I haven't seen Madman for a little while. Um, so if I lose myself in the movie, y'all just look over me. I'll come back and start talking about it again. So Madman Mars apparently went crazy, and attacked his family with an axe. That's right, the poet. Don't say his name, right? You're not supposed to say his name above a whisper. I'm in trouble, ain't I? So, because of what Madman did to his family, um, some farmers, took him and hung him and slashed his face and all this stuff. So, but the next morning, they left him for dead. So the next morning, he was gone. He wasn't hanging there anymore. So the story is that Madman Mars is still creeping around in those woods around the camp. So we have a smart ass here, Richie, who thinks he knows better. And he's, basically he says, this story's crap. There's no Madman Mars. So Richie wants to know what this guy's name was, and so this is when the head counselor, owner of the camp, says, you're not supposed to say his name above a whisper, because if he hears you saying his name, he'll come for you. And we've all, guys and gals, most of us anyway, have heard urban legends, about different things. And so at this point in the film, that's what the story of Madman Mars is an urban legend. It's a scary story to tell around the campfire. The burning is like that. In a lot of ways, the later Friday the 13th with Jason in them are, that they tell stories around the campfire. In the burning, they tell a story about Cropsey around the campfire. And the thing about the difference between real life and these movies is that these urban legends come to life in the movies. Thankfully, they don't normally come to life in real life, right? So Richie is screamed out, Madman Mars, and he's being real sarcastic. And the head counselor is saying, don't come here, Mars. He's just a kid. He didn't know what he was saying. Now, folks, I hate to say this because there's some people that are no longer living. And I am not one to talk about people's looks, because look at me, I'm not no Raven Beauty, right? But unfortunately, I mean, Galen Ross, aka Alexis Dubin, probably looks the best of all these people. But for a movie like this is pretty much the most unattractive cast I have seen in a slasher film, folks. There's some odd looking people in this. So this young girl, and I mean, she is pretty young, is scared by the story of Madman Mars. She's afraid he's going to come and get her and chop off her head. Now, this girl looks very, very young. She looks maybe 9, 10 at the most. So I don't know what responsible camp owner would tell a story like that with young kids. And so this guy's TP, and he's the guy that has unfortunately passed away. And TP, I don't think it stands for toilet paper in this case, but his character's name is TP. So he gets into a little tiff with his girlfriend there, played by Galen Ross. She tells him, oh, big man, you scaring little kids and stuff like that. So they're headed back out of the woods and they're going back to camp. Now, Richie, of course, he sees something. And unfortunately, he's going to be curious and he's going to get away from the other guys and TP. And he's going to wander off because he sees a shadow of someone that looks oddly like Madman Mars was described. So he wanders off. And that's never a good thing, is it, folks? Sorry, folks. This is usually about the time I start getting tired, hence me having this energy drink here. So we saw, a hand with very huge fingernails. Apparently, Madman Mars doesn't believe in, keeping his nails all nice and pretty. But we saw him lighting a candle. And so Richie has unfortunately made his way to Madman Mars's house that does not look lived in. There's a lot of cobwebs and stuff. So I don't know why he lit the candle and then put it out, but he must have some tough calluses on his hands because he just laid his hand right down on that flame. So I don't know why TP did not notice that Richie, he just did he never look behind him or what's the deal here? Also, I know during this time period, especially the early to mid 80s, that people were a lot older than what they were playing. But this to me, this is excessive. This chick here looks like a mom. So, Galen Ross's character is Betsy there. Um, so her friend is the one, Betsy's friend is the one that, told her and TP that, maybe you shouldn't, have this argument in public in front of the kids and everybody. So Max, he's the head of the camp. He was the guy that was telling the Madman Mars story. And now TP is trying to get this axe out of a tree stump. So Max has promised to give people money or give someone money if they can get that axe out of there. But so far, nobody's been able to do it. And gang, for those of you that are in here right now, if you notice this buffering a lot or me, my talk being choppy or I'm stuttering or whatever, please let me know. I may have to take myself out of the stream and bring myself back into the stream. But I guess I'd have to depend on you guys and gals to let me know. So I don't know what it was about summer camp horror movies and having a cook that was an alcoholic or that liked to drink quite a bit. But apparently that was, well, it wasn't a cook in the burning. It was actually the caretaker. He was the drunk. Thank you to Poet. I appreciate that. Ooh, Dippy just got killed. He was the alcoholic cook there. That was pretty bloody.
Can't believe I am watching this again.
Well, you are Jello, Steve. Deal with it. So, like I was saying to the Poet, that maybe this signal strength thing is part of an update. Maybe it always shows it now. I don't know. I just know that when I was using my tablet for the movie Munchies yesterday, I was on Wi-Fi, but the signal thing didn't show up at all. Now, I know when I'm on Wi-Fi and using my tablet and stuff, it's choppy anyway, but I would expect my wired connection to be more stable. So Richie is still roaming around Madman Mars's house like a doofus. But, if we didn't have these people that did silly things, there would be no movie. Now, here's a question I have. How did Madman Mars, unless, I'm reading way too much into this, and it was non-linear, how did Madman Mars get to the camp real quickly to kill Dippy and get back to his house? Unless these are things that are happening, like I said, at different times. But, you also can't look for logic in a horror movie either. Maybe when Madman Mars was growling and running away from the house, maybe he was going to the camp then. So Max is praising all the counselors. So this is when Betsy says, I'd like to bring up something about the campfire. And she tells Max she knows he enjoys telling stories, but she's worried about the younger ones. So he says he doesn't have any objections of it excluding the younger kids from the campfire stories. So he knows they've got beer hidden, and he says that's against the rules, but save me one for later. So um, I don't know what in the hell is going on with that sweater that TP has on. Like we haven't even gotten to the hot tub scene yet, which thanks to good old CK, everybody talks about the hot tub scene in Madman now. But what in the hell's going on with that sweater he's got on? What, like, I have nothing against gay people, but that looks very gay on him. And he's supposed to be a straight guy, which makes it even weirder. And why does he think he needs to make this big speech? I think the reason CK likes this movie so much is because, and we're getting to the hot tub scene, folks. And if you have not seen Madman, or for whatever reason you've missed the hot tub scene, I can't say that you're in for a treat, folks. There's the big belt buckle with TP on it. Oh man. But I wanted to finish my thought. I think probably the reason that good old CK, likes this movie so much is because some of it is just extra ridiculous, like this scene here. And it makes it more enjoyable for people. It makes it more entertaining, whereas the burning is a lot darker than this. And there's some male ass that we didn't necessarily need to see. And it's got this song that if you're listening to the soundtrack in the comfort of your own home, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. This is unlike anything I've ever seen. Um,
Can't stand this anymore, Dana. Make it stop.
sorry, Jallo Steve, we can't make it stop. Um, see, even Jallo Steve's not, into this scene here. I don't know what in the heck all this twirling in the hot tub is all about either. I mean, was this really supposed to make for a romantic scene? I don't know how. It's just ridiculous. Although I would like to be in a hot tub. Not with them two, but just in a hot tub. And this is the most pitiful kissing scene I've ever seen, too. It's almost like they don't want to kiss. And of course, you have the shots of somebody peeking in at them from the outside. I'm not sure, too, why they would need a hot tub at a camp for the majority of them are young kids. Why would kids need to get in a hot tub? Two, this is the most, like, one of the most, I've seen other ones, but one of the most unsexy scenes ever. And it's not really that, I said that the majority of the cast was unattractive, and doesn't really need to be getting naked. It's not really that Galen Ross or the actor playing TP are super unattractive. It's just the whole thing is just stiff, unrealistic, and you've got that goofy song playing in the background, and it's just, I hope that they were not going for a romantic, sexy type thing, because it just totally didn't work. So Richie's still wandering around. I mean, he went to Madman Mars's house, and now he's wandering out in the woods. And I believe it's he can't figure out how to get back. Well, dumbass, you should have stayed with the rest of the group. But again, there would not have been a movie if he had done that. Now, what the heck? This stuff is so ridiculous. She's playing a recorder, some kind of flute. Looks like a flutophone that I used in school when I was in elementary school, when I went to music class. Why in the world was she sitting out in a boat playing this recorder? So now her stupid ass can't get back up this embankment. And then she blows her raspberry at that embankment. Okay. I think this is another one of those ridiculous scenes that I don't understand. Yeah, this. Why are these people lying on the floor like this? And why would they even think to do this? This is so bizarre. You have two couples there that the girls are laying with their heads on one side. The guys got their heads on the other side. It's just a very bizarre scene. Why would you even think to be doing something like that? So then this guy, I think this is pretty weird too. That one of the guys just all of a sudden picks up a knife and says, "You don't really know what's inside somebody's head," and all this stuff, trying to like scare them. But I'd be like, dude, stop, shut up. And it's almost like they're trying to have deep conversations, but they just don't work. He's like, I'm letting my emotions overtake my intellect. Who cares? Let's just get to some uh, slaughter in here. I don't care about his emotions taking over his intellect. This reminds me of, being in restaurants and stuff like that, and you hear people trying to have, or I've heard it at horror conventions too, people trying to sound smart and sophisticated, and all they really sound like is ridiculous because they're over analyzing everything and over expressing um, the stuff that they know about a movie or politics or whatever it might be that they're talking about. And I'm like, just will you hush? You know. So that's what some of these scenes remind me of. But people in real life are like this. I guess they think it makes them sound, smart or something. I think it makes them sound ridiculous, personally. I don't know if that's just big city type of stuff because I never really heard that back home from my itty bitty small town. But when I moved to Louisville, that's when I started hearing that stuff, and I'm like, really? Is this what the big city's all about? So TP has discovered that Richie's missing. And, Betsy doesn't really want him to go out there. But he says, I lost him, so it's my responsibility to find him. You bet it is, doofus head. Um, but this is also the point in a lot of horror movies where people start separating. And splitting up and all of that. And we know, and even the best slasher movies do that. Because why? Because they have to get everybody separated so the killer can pick them off more easily. If they banded together, it would be harder, right? Okay. We're going to be coming up soon on a lovemaking scene or a sex scene or whatever you want to call it. That this girl is not ugly. And I wouldn't say that somebody's ugly. She's just odd looking. And so when she gets naked, even though she's holding some up over her boobs and everything, it's like, why? Why are we seeing this? Why do we need to see this? Like, can you just leave that out? I don't need to see them in a tent together, you know. So now you have TP out there wandering around the woods looking for Richie because, as he said, my dumb ass lost him, so I got to be responsible for finding him. But if the dumbass had been paying attention, he would have known that Richie left the group. But again, we would not have a movie, right? Because there had to be some catalyst that got old Madman Mars started. Oh, he was there and then he wasn't there, folks. No, that's not Richie, dumbass. And just so y'all understand, I'm not calling the actor a dumbass. I'm calling the character a dumbass because, I wouldn't want to say that about the actor or actress anyway. But especially in the case that, I think his name was Tony Fish, but I don't think that was his real name. I think his real name was uh, Tony Nunziata, but I think he went by Tony Fish. Um, but he has since passed away, unfortunately. And he seemed like a nice enough guy. And like I said, I'm reserving my judgment for the character and not the actor. So when I call him a dumbass, I'm not saying that about the actor. Oh, and just in case my parents were to see this, they probably won't. But I'd like to wish a happy 51st wedding anniversary to my mom and dad. right when right when TP's getting attacked here. But I did want to say that real quick. So he's got a noose around his neck and he's being dragged along the ground there. So I guess so good old Madman Mars is gonna hang TP. This is probably one of the longest hanging scenes that I've seen where this guy is like, I mean, he's really struggling, it appears, to get loose of that, which I can't say that if I was in the same position that I wouldn't do that too, but usually people are already dead in the movies by this point in time. So what he's apparently trying to do is keep that rope from actually hanging him, but then Madman Mars came along and jerked him down, and that actually caused the complete hanging to happen. Evidently, old Man Mars is not into pedicures either. Look at those feet. I haven't done He Loves Me Not since I was a kid. So that's another one of those ridiculous things. I don't know why she's sitting there doing that. Oh, TP's hanging from a tree, Betsy. So she's went to her friends, her fellow counselors, and she says, he's been gone for 45 minutes. And so one of the guys says, last year it took us 3 hours to find a kid who went left instead of right, and that was in daylight. So the guy says, I get your point, Betsy, because she just keeps going on about it. He says, I'll go look for TP then. So good old Dave's telling her not to worry so much. So Betsy's, she said, I know I saw something out there just before TP left. So remember that axe that was stuck in the stump? Nobody could get it out. Well, that was for old Man Mars tried. And he done it. So Mike's better give Man Mars some money, I guess. So good old Dave is back at the campfire with his lantern. He's looking for TP and looking for Richie because nobody's found Richie yet. Yeah, the poet, I would kind of like to see a sequel to it as well. And I think there was some talk about it at one time, but I know Paul Ehlers, who played Madman Mars, um, I think he wanted to at one time, but I think in later years, Paul Ehlers' health is declining. As unfortunately, when things take too long to get uh, in motion, like I know there were several sequels to Phantasm, but I always like to bring this up because they simply, in my opinion, they should have left Phantasm with the last one they made instead of making Ravager, right? Which technically now Ravager is the last one they made. Because I've said this before, I'll keep saying it. Ravager made me sad. It made me really sad because a series that I had enjoyed from the first one to the one they made before they made Ravager, um, I liked and enjoyed every single one of them. But because Angus Scrimm, with his advanced age, and he was in declining health at the time, um, that made it seem weird because he was not actually able to, be in a lot of scenes and be in a lot of scenes in the way he was in the past, right? And they had Reggie's character suffering from dementia in a nursing home. I'm like, what? You know, why? Why are you doing this? Why would anybody even think? I would have just rather they said, we're going to call it quits. The last Phantasm you got, that was it. Oh, and he just found TP. I know I got off on a Phantasm thing, but um, I wish there had been a sequel, but I wish that they had made a sequel for Madman, not long after the original was made. Because I think simply movie companies and directors and producers and all that are just waiting too long for some of this stuff. For instance, sometimes it's just a bad deal all around. For instance, Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. Hey, Gory Tiger. Dark Knight of the Scarecrow was a great little television movie. It was creepy and it worked on all levels. But the second Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, oh, good gravy. It was bad. And I don't know how many of y'all saw it. Oh, this guy's gonna get it. Um, and I have not seen the second Mutilator movie, but I'm afraid that even though Buddy Cooper did it, I'm afraid it's going to go the route of Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. I don't know how many of y'all have seen the second Mutilator movie. Well, I think Dave just got chopped up pretty good. So I think Betsy's friend there, Stacy or whatever her name is, she always looks like she's been smoking a doobie there before they did the scene. She just either that or looks like she's sleepwalking through every scene. So Stacy's decided, Betsy, you stay here. I'm just going to go out and see what's going on here. Okay, so this is, Lord help. You do not need to see this. So Stacy stuck her head in there and the couple's making love in the tent, the one that I said, like, I don't need to see this. So she's telling him, Richie's missing. TP went and looked for him, and now he's missing. And then Dave went and looked for both of them, and he hasn't come back yet. Well, what do you think was going to happen, Stacy, if you stuck your head in a tent? Chances are you're going to see somebody. So one of the deaths coming up is going to be one of those. I can't help myself. I just laugh out loud at it. For one thing, it's similar to Don Edmonds' death in Home Sweet Home. And y'all see what I mean here shortly. I think it's the death coming up. I hope I haven't, spoken out of turn here. So Stacy's in the truck. Well, she's getting out of the truck now because it wouldn't start. So she's gonna check the engine apparently. And of course, old Madman Mars is creeping around. Oh no, is Madman Mars gonna get in there? Is he gonna get in there? No, he's not.
Tell me again why I am doing this. Oh, I forgot. It's because you made me.
Sorry, Steve. Steve's quite talkative tonight. And sometimes this chick looks like she's got makeup on, and sometimes she looks like she doesn't. And they must have had, not a less than pristine negative for this, because I think these lines that are showing up on the Blu-ray, I think they show up on the 4K as well, if I'm remembering correctly. So now they got more people going out looking for everybody else, because Betsy says, we don't want to find, Max to come back and find everybody gone, and my signal just dropped down again. I'm really going to have to restart that modem, I guess. Again, if y'all noticed, me buffering or my talk getting choppy or anything like that, please let me know. I think sometimes too that there's a lot more people doing streams on the weekend, and it probably bottlenecks StreamYard. I'm sure it does. But as much money as a lot of us are paying for this service, as much money as we're paying for good internet service, we, should be able to not have issues like that. But, beggars can't be choosers, right? So Stacy's hollering for TP and Richie. So she found Dave's lantern out there. She very stupidly goes up to Dave's body and says, "Dave, are you hurt?" And there's no head. No, he's not hurt. He's dead. He's been beheaded. There's his head. There we go. Hey, it's okay. His head is right there. It's just not connected to his body anymore. This dumb girl is having a terrible time staying upright. First, she couldn't get up in an embankment. Now she keeps falling down. Oh, dang. The car engine's stalling again, or the truck engine's stalling again. So we're almost to the hour mark of this movie. Like I said, this is not a very long movie. Some of the movies I do watch alongs for are a little bit longer. Okay, so this thing coming up may be one of the most ridiculous scenes, and I have to laugh every time I see it, if I'm thinking correctly about this. So she's having to take a gander at the engine again. But remember, we know Man Mars is out there somewhere. And she's acting very calm now. She just saw her boyfriend beheaded. So, okay. So, what's Man Mars going to do here? She's looking at the engine. Her head is under the hood, right? Ah, dang. But I just find this so ridiculous. So now these two are looking for Stacy. Oh, there's the pickup. Yeah, but where's Stacy? Let's split up. Yeah, that seems like the thing to do. Yeah, that's smart. But I'm going to give you a pitiful kiss before I do that. Whose dumbass idea was? Oh, it was that Bill guy. For them to go separate and go in a circle and come back to around the same spot. I don't know how that's a good idea. But again, if these people were super smart and did the logical thing, then there would be no movie. These movies would be over in 5 or 10 seconds. Oh, sorry, folks. Sorry, keep yawning. So we're getting ready to come up on about the last quarter of the film. So yeah, she's freaking out now. That was a dumbass thing to do too, is scream when you see Madman Mars hovering over your friend's headless body. So I'm just gonna kind of slowly go back the way I came. And it's like, oh, Bill, I saw something horrible. It was big and huge and dark. Oh, man. So Bill's telling Ellie's her name, I don't see anything. And truth be told, I don't see anything either except that big bloody blob on the front of this truck, but they're not seeing it. So they're going to get in the truck and I guess take the truck back to camp. So once again, the truck engine's stalling. And it's making a weird noise. So Bill's going to get out, check. Remember, Stacy lost her head earlier? Wonder where that head's at. I think he found her head. Oh, sorry, gang. I've had bad allergies as of late, too. Sometimes I'll sneeze about 5 or 10 times in a row. That's the most pitiful crying, too, I've ever seen. Or some of the most pitiful crying I've ever seen. Uh-oh. Oh, dang. He's dragging Bill out of the truck. And then she just lets the car run into a tree and then she just falls out. Like, again, I understand why people find this entertaining, but I'm telling you, oh, he's going to kill Bill. He's going to break him in half here. Let's see if he does. And then I'll get back to my. explanation of why I think this is an inferior film on a lot of levels to The Burning. Um, and that is because, this is The Burning is a far superior film technical wise. It's got better kills in it. It's a lot less ridiculous than this movie is, but I can understand too why people prefer it because it is so wacky and off kilter and laughably bad in a lot of spots. Just like, why would she just fall out of the truck when it hit a tree? Was she actually trying to get out of the truck when the truck was headed towards the tree? So Richie is saying all this. Richie, you dumbass, you started all this, right? I mean, it's so outrageously bad. It's one of those so bad it's good films. And that's why I shelled out the money for it on DVD originally. That's why when it came out on Blu-ray and then it came out on 4K, I kept buying it. It's not that I disliked the movie. I would not actively buy a movie I disliked. But the truth, in my opinion, the truth for me anyway, is that The Burning is a far superior film to this. Yes, this has some good kills in it, but it's just the majority of the rest of it is so outrageously bad. And something else I like about this movie is the look of Madman Mars. The look of Madman Mars is great. So, gang, I managed to wait until we're an hour and 5 minutes into the film before taking a bathroom break. But I'm going to take myself out of the stream for a couple of minutes and I'll be right back. Y'all continue to watch for those of you that are watching along. All right, I'm back again, gang. So I came back at one of the um, other ridiculous scenes that's going to be coming up. So we have Ellie, looking for everybody, and she's not finding anybody. So she's looking for Betsy or anybody else that might still be alive. Uh-oh. And there is Madman Mars there. Okay, so out of all the places that you could hide, all right, she picks the most outrageously stupid place to hide. Here in just a second. Yeah, throw everything out of the refrigerator, and I'm going to close myself in the refrigerator. I have never, in all my years of watching slasher films, seen anybody hide in a refrigerator except in this movie. And that, I mean, she's probably holding it open a little bit, but one, would Madman Mars have kind of guessed that she went in there? And if she wasn't holding that open a little bit, what's to keep her from getting sealed up in there? I mean, I don't normally make a habit of getting into refrigerators, but I was always told as a kid, and I'm sure a lot of you guys and gals were, that old refrigerators, don't ever get inside of them. Don't ever hide inside of them because you'll get stuck in them and suffocate. And she's overly dramatic with the limping there too. And I know some of you out there are going to say, gosh dang, you're hard on this movie. Well, it's a lot of other people say I calls them as I sees them. And, when I see something stupid, I'm going to bring it up. Even if it's a movie I like really well. And there's movies that I like really, really well that there are stupid things in there. Or things that don't make sense. And that's not only with horror movies, it's with other movies as well, other genres. And we're just about down to the final 15 minutes of the film. Again, I wanted to remark on one of the pluses for this movie is Madman Mars's look. I think it's really a cool look and a creepy, kind of scary look too. I think Paul Ehlers does an excellent job of playing Madman Mars. Because again, he's, like a lot of these other killers. And, ooh, I will say her death scene is great too. It's so ridiculous. She's going after she's axed in the chest. But like a lot of other killers in slasher movies in particular, or horror movies overall, they're hidden. Their features are hidden behind a mask or hidden behind makeup. And I think Paul Ehlers is one of those guys that does a really good job of being expressive, even though he's got a lot of makeup on and probably, some kind of rubber mask. I know that the feet were not his and the hands weren't his. So to be able to be expressive and to act really well and do all the physical work that's required in a movie like this, I think that's a testament to what a great actor that Paul Ehlers is, um, that he was able to pull this off. And that is a definite plus for this movie. And I think if you didn't have those little pluses here and there, this movie would have been long forgotten. Um, it's probably a good thing too that it has some of the more outrageous scenes too. That also probably kept it from being forgotten. So Betsy is, she's called Max. He's playing cards with his buddies, and my signal's kind of going up and down, folks. So hopefully I'm not, you know, buffering or being my voice is choppy or um, definitely when after Steve goes to sleep because he's using the internet service, so I don't want to restart the modem while he's watching something. He might get a little peeved at me if I do that, but later hopefully I can restart this thing and it'll help. I just don't understand why it's happening on a wired connection though. Usually the wireless connection's the one that's unstable. Could be an AT&T problem possibly too. But usually, power cycling equipment helps a lot. So Bessie told Max, you got to come back. There's blood all over the place. I can't find anybody. You know, everybody's missing. Betsy's got her a gun and she's um headed out to, I think what she's gonna try to do is gather all the kids together and get the hell out of there. That was great too. I had forgotten about that. That Ellie came up to the like she still wasn't completely dead, and Betsy shot her and finished her off. It's like, oh my gosh, I've seen that happen in other movies too. Or somebody's not even in the middle of dying, and somebody kills them because they think it's the killer. So she's going to the cabins and telling all the kids to get in the bus right now. That we got to go. This doesn't really look like a large group of kids. It seemed like there were more kids at the campfire, but maybe not. What do you mean? There's not that many gifted kids around, or what? That's kind of funny, man. Mars was just like dancing around out there, and he's trying to get in the bus. Somehow I don't think he's going to listen. She's like, "Leave us alone, stop it, go, get away, go away." I guess he doesn't like his hand being repeatedly hit because he does, take his hand out of the door, the bus door. So she telling one of the older kids, this is real responsible. And you can tell I'm being sarcastic with this. So Betsy's saying, I'm sorry, I gotta leave you kids. I'm gonna have one of the older ones drive this bus somewhere. And I'm gonna go wandering around in the woods to look for everybody else. Irresponsible adults. I mean, personally, I think it's too close to the end of the movie to be making these dumbass mistakes. Betsy to me is not too smart of a final girl, and apparently that's what she is appearing to be right now. She's come upon Madman Mars's house here. We got about 7 more minutes, and that probably includes credits as well. So we're winding up this watch along for Madman, and I hope that those of you that have been able to participate in this, and those of you that got to watch along have enjoyed this. And oh, there's Madman Mars there. And if you didn't, I hope that you enjoy Dazed and Confused tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as well. Um, and if you haven't, checked out the movie Munchies for Voorhees Burgers and Jason Fingers, I hope that you check that out. The birthday unboxings, all the Dick's Picks and Cannon Fodder, and they're all messed up that I have done. I hope you all are able to join me for the first edition of Horror Movie Rewind that will take place this coming Monday, probably around 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Plus a whole lot of Dick's Picks and Cannon Fodder. They're all messed up. And who knows what else I'll throw in there. So I wonder if Galen Ross is gonna, Betsy's gonna make it through this movie. Hmm. Why are you wasting bullets there, Betsy? Don't have a hair trigger there. Uh oh. See, isn't that a great look? Like, I would like to say that again. Madman Mars does have a great look. Well, he did slash her. Now he's dragging her by the hair. See, this is what happens when you're a dumbass. I know I've said that a lot during this, but these people are. Yeah, looks like she's in pretty bad shape there, folks. She did manage to stab him. So apparently, we're not going to have a final girl in this. And there's your Richie, the dumbass that started the whole ball rolling, is standing catatonic out in the middle of the freaking road. And Max, he's like, Richie, are you okay? And the only thing he can say is Madman Mars. And he's real. And then we're seeing all the dead bodies. And we're coming up on the credit sequence. So, once again, I hope that you guys and gals that were able to join me for this watch along for Madman, that you enjoyed this tonight. I enjoyed, revisiting this film as I do from time to time. Recently revisited The Burning. The Burning was part of Evil Dead Chick Slasher Fest for the month of June, which actually took place on my birthday. We watched The Burning and Bloody Birthday. So, again, thank you guys and gals that were able to join me tonight for this watch along. I want to also thank those of you that will watch this on the replay because I know not everybody can watch these live. I'm going to stay with you until the credits finish rolling, and then I'm probably going to call it a night. especially since it doesn't look like there's anybody in here right now. So we have officially reached the end of the credits for Madman. And I'm going to call it a night. But as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the evening, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday night, folks. And I'll see everybody next time.